Welcome, listeners. If you are dealing with some unwanted feelings, you are in the right place. Today, I'm going to go through my self coaching method. So it's kind of like I've got a coach on my shoulder that helps me to feel better through difficult feelings. And I actually just worked through this. I'm out here in the barn, it's between Christmas and New Year's, kind of an emotional time. And, I think a lot of us, this is a great time to practice because we've got lots of feelings and maybe we have a little bit of time to sit down and look at them. We should always give ourselves that time, but of course we don't. Another thing that I just want to add here is that I do have a community. I have a new community on School, brand new in January. It's called Divorce Clarity 40 Plus. So if you are a woman thinking about divorced, having parenting issues, whatever it is, it's a safe community where you get me to coach you through this soul method and I can give you a little legal information. I'm not your attorney and I'm not your therapist, but I can give you legal information and I am a coach. So I can coach you to a better mindset. And we do it in a safe community with other women. It's $47 a month. Wednesdays at noon, and I would love to have you join me. There will be a link in the show notes, or you can go to my website or just email me, and I will get you linked up to that community. I would love to see you there. So, for the rest of us, whether you're going through divorce, a hard time, or sometimes we don't even have to really be going through something that seems really big to other people, but it can be big to us. Our feelings affect us. And it's funny because I started this podcast a few times this morning and I had not done my work and I'm feeling a little edgy. I'm not going to lie. I've got a couple of little things going on with family members that make the emotions in me erupt, and they're not wanted feelings. They're unwanted feelings. So before I jumped on, I just took a few minutes and I sat through my approach. So, like I said, it's the SOUL method, SOUL. That's 4 steps. And what I want you to know is that first step, there's about 3 things: there's stillness, surrender, and start with the decision. I've blobbed them all into because I didn't want to say the SSS SOUL method. So there's 3 things in the S, and I always talk about stillness. We need to give ourselves time. You're important, and if you want to use your gifts and serve the world, you got to give yourself a little time to sit so that you can hear God. You can look at what are my feelings, because sometimes I don't even take the time to do that. So I did that this morning a little bit. I sat and I was still. And then I surrendered maybe the person that I thought made me feel a certain way, or the situation that made me feel a certain way. Surrendered that to God, because it's kind of not for me to deal with. And whew, does that feel good? I mean, you have heard me talk about stillness and surrender. And I want you to know that I am dedicated to, when I have fear or anxiety, I surrender it to God because I know He loves me and I know He takes care of me. And I know the God who created this whole universe, this whole thing going on here, knows a heck of a lot more than I do. And so that I'm going to just give it to Him. And so I'm working really hard anytime that I have something silly or big that's scaring me, worrying me. I hand it to Him. But this is what's interesting. What I realized, maybe not surrendering the anger. So today I get to learn how to deal with that because I had a little bit of anger in me. That was an emotion that I felt, or kind of like a victim mentality. So I sat in stillness, and that gave me the opportunity to look at, what am I feeling? What is that unwanted feeling? So you can name it. There's a feelings wheel. It is important to name it. You can sit and go, where do I feel that in my body? What color would it be if it was a color? I mean, really get to know it, because I am not going to lie. When I first started doing this work, just naming how I felt started my healing journey. like just naming that I felt afraid kind of like healed some of the fear. It's pretty bonkers and amazing. So it's the first step into it. So be still, feel that, and then you can surrender it to God. Sometimes I just hold his hand if that feeling's holding on there, and I'm like, okay, you come with me. Let's look at this. And then I surrender that feeling. So this is what I'm learning today, to surrender that anger, to surrender the person who caused that anger. And then that third S is to start with a decision. And so I thought, here's how I came up with my decision. How do I want to feel? That's going to help you decide how you want to feel. So when I thought about that, I thought, I want to feel um, empowered and like I'm loving myself, and that I'm have my boundaries, and that I can say, um, or I can set my boundary, and the decision is I don't want to be worried about how the other person reacts to that because I'm not responsible. So if I set up a boundary, maybe somebody is not treating me politely. My boundary is to stop and just kind of end that conversation. And I don't even need to tell the other person. Or maybe if somebody is asking too much of me, to stop it. And then what I want to feel is I don't want to feel guilty that I made the other person feel uncomfortable. And let me tell you, that might sound simple, but for a people pleaser like me who's 40 and beyond, it's hard. I was raised a people pleaser. That is my life. And so I think that if I hold the boundary, that then I am responsible for how that other person feels. And I'm not. And that is not being evil or mean. It's being loving, because love your neighbor as yourself. Oh, who else is there to love? Yourself. And I forget that so many times. Yes, you can love your neighbor. It doesn't mean that you don't love someone when you're protecting yourself. Only you know what you can handle, what your boundaries are, how you need to be treated. And kindness is so important to me that I am because I've been burned in the past with unkindness. And it's funny because I was working on my book today and I was reading about a friendship in the past that really burned me, and it was not kind. And if I could have set that boundary up sooner, there would have been less suffering. That's why we have these three S's. We don't want to suffer. We want less suffering. So if you can sit in stillness and feel that feeling, go to my website, grab that feelings wheel if you need it, name it, get close to it, surrender it, walk with the God of the universe who's got everything under control. We need to let go a little bit. So if you can surrender that and then start with a decision, the decision on how you feel is yours. And so my decision is I want to stand firm in my boundaries because I'm important and I love me. And I can be loving to the other person, and I don't want to worry about how they feel because I can't control that. That's their journey. That's not mine. I want to just give that worry about how they feel to God. Okay. So the next step in that soul method is the O, and it's own your thoughts. It's all about your thoughts. So behind every feeling that we have is a thought or a belief. And so mine is maybe some of the thoughts that I have that have neural pathways burned into my brain is I'm not worthy um, to be considered because I need to please the other person. So there's a piece of unworthiness. There's also thoughts of I control how the other person feels. That's not true. We're in charge of our own feelings. So you can stop being a victim too, because you get to be in charge of how you feel. You can take the stance and be strong. It doesn't mean we're not going to go through hard things. And some feelings are hard. I know hard. I've sat in hard for a long time. And sometimes you have to. And sometimes you can work through it. I'm not saying that there aren't big things that rock your world and you have to sit with it for a while, because I've been there, I've done that. If you're going through a divorce, um, something hard with your kids, a diagnosis, whatever it is, that's hard, that rocks your world, and you have to kind of sit in that hard. And here's the thing. I wish I could say that I can, keep the hard from coming, but we know it's biblical. Hard things are going to happen. And so I just want to give you this to stand alongside of you, so that when the hard comes, you'll be a little bit equipped to suffer less. I hope that makes sense. So, okay, own your thoughts. So I'm owning the thought that I think that I believe maybe other people's needs are more important than mine. That's a belief that I have. My family's needs are more important than mine. The decision that I want to make about that is I don't want to feel like that anymore. I want to feel like I need to take care of me, and I need to be treated loving, and I need to take care of that heart of mine. And then I can overflow with kindness and service. And I think there's a podcast called, with the woman who wrote The Selfish Year. It's so good. And she talked about how she just decided to take a year and be selfish. She actually ended up being more giving and service oriented than she had ever been in her life. It's so true that you have to put your oxygen mask on first in order to be able to serve God and your family and in your work or your passion. You got to take care of yourself. And I want to start believing that. And you want to know what? I don't. I wish I did, but I don't. So I'm working towards it. So these owning your thoughts and beliefs means that you actually need to believe it. So if I'm not going to believe that my needs matter as much as my family's or my friends, I can believe that I am a woman who's beginning to believe that my needs are just as important as all those around me. I can hold on to that. If I can hold on to that, that feels way better than thinking that everyone else's needs are more important than my own. So that's already helping me. So owning your thoughts is looking at what the thought is behind that feeling, and then looking at, is that thought true or is it serving me? So I don't think I told you that step when we did it. So when I was thinking other people's needs are more important than mine, is that true? No, it's not true. So obviously right there, it's a lie. And I could come up with a lot of arguments. Well, sometimes in the moment, their needs are more than yours, well, whatever that is. But so that is the belief. So is it true and is it serving you? And sometimes something will be true. And then you have to ask, well, does it serve me and is it making me feel good? And if it's not, you can work on changing that, because you want it. You want your thought to serve you. And how we can get there is use your strengths. So know your strengths, know yourself. And that's where you sit in stillness. And I've taken lots of courses and tests and learned that. And just knowing I'm a people pleaser. Well, that means I have empathy. So I can use empathy and I can use it on myself. So I can say, oh, Lesa, it makes sense that you have that feeling that everybody else's needs are more important than yours. That makes sense with how you grew up and the girl that you are and the people pleaser you are. It makes complete sense. That's having empathy and it's neutralizing it. So there's lots of strengths that we have, and we're going to go into those deeper in another um, podcast episode. But just know, you have wisdom in you and use that. A lot of times we use it for other people. Use it on yourself. Use that empathy. Use that ingenuity, your intelligence. Use it for yourself. Um, and then the last. This is always my favorite, and it's the one that I always want to just jump to. Lead with aligned action. Lead with action. And I think I led my whole life with action before, and that didn't do it. It fixed it for a second. That's the mediator in me. Let me fix this right now. Let me figure this out. So once you go through all of those feelings and you get through all those steps and you see what the real issue is, then you say, what's one thing that I can do moving forward that's going to help me feel like my needs matter? Okay, so like in my situation, I'm thinking, I'm going to do something nice for myself today. And I'm going to actually, I don't have it down right now, but I'm going to actually think of, well, I'm going to go grab my favorite coffee at Starbucks. That's like making my needs important to me. So that's one action that I can take. And I'm going to take it and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. And I'm going to go get that coffee that I love and just thoroughly enjoy it. And that's the action that I'm going to take. That's going to lead me to realize one simple thing on this journey to help me realize that my needs matter as much as everyone else's. And if I want to be used by God in this world and to use my gifts, my passions, then I've got to fuel me. And I need to really start believing that. So this is just one little, I kind of coached myself with y'all here using that S.O.U.L method. It's on my website. You can go look at it there. You can book a session with me. You can join that Divorce Clarity 40 Plus group. I am here for you, and I want to help you suffer less, especially through this holiday season. You take good care, and thank you so much for being here.